Oh yeah.
So it's basically from the London. So the high speed one launch tomorrow. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm absolutely delighted to have been selected as the Liberal Democrat candidate for Mayor of London, particularly when you consider the other two exceptionally good contenders that I was up against, Jamali Fernando and Faiz McGill. And I'm looking forward to working with them on the campaign ahead. I'm delighted because I really believe that I can make a valuable contribution to London as its mayor. First and foremost, I am a Londoner who has seen practically every facet of London firsthand, and in practically every part of London as well. I was born and raised and went to school in South London, and as Vince has just said, I had more than 30 years experience in the Metropolitan Police, where I worked all the time in every part of the capital. I saw the challenges facing Londoners and experienced many of them myself, particularly dealing with what was then and is now still the #1 priority for Londoners, and that is crime. Investigating burglaries on run-down council estates and in millionaires' mansions. Caring for people robbed of their old age pensions and people robbed of their Rolex wristwatches. I've dealt with the whole spectrum of crime and a broad range of victims. And I've worked directly with practically every community in London, from Asian to Caribbean, from disabled to gay communities, from Christian to Muslim communities. And I've looked beyond the criminal activity to the issues behind the crimes: poverty, housing, education, health, business and employment. And I've worked with the agencies and the businesses who have been dealing with those issues. What I would ask the people of London to do, what I would ask you to do, is to look at my track record. I've successfully led large organisations. As the police commander in Lambeth, for example, I had responsibility for over 1,000 staff and a £37 million budget. I changed the way policing was led. I adopted liberal policing policies that produced real results, and I transformed police-community relations. As a police sergeant in 1981, I stood behind a plastic shield while the residents of Brixton threw paving slabs and bricks at me in the Brixton riots. 20 years later, the residents of Brixton were attending Brixton Town Hall demanding my reinstatement as their police chief. So what am I going to do next May when I take over from Ken Livingstone as Mayor of London? Well, I'm going to work with the Commissioner to transform the relationship between the police and Londoners, so that all but the tiny law-breaking minority will have trust and confidence in the police and be justifiably proud of their police service. And I believe if we can do that, the effect on crime and disorder will be dramatic. I'm going to represent Londoners. A novel concept given recent history, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen to London's 33 democratically elected local authorities, and I'm going to work with them, not against them. And I'm going to genuinely consult Londoners, and I'm going to reflect their concerns and their views and address their issues, whether it's on housing, whether it's on transport, or whether it's on policing. I'm not going to surround myself with my friends and cronies and let them dictate to London what is right for London. I'm going to advertise openly and select on merit the best people, the best experts in every field of my responsibility as mayor. Experts who are willing to listen, experts who are willing to be held to account. These aren't policy statements. The Liberal Democrats in London will produce a comprehensive package of policies that London MPs, Assembly members and myself have agreed, following as wide consultation as possible. I'm very proud to be a Londoner. But not everyone who lives or works in London feels the same way. I want to create a London where everyone, whatever their background, wherever they live or work in this great city, where everyone is proud of London and everyone wants to work together to do whatever each individual can to make London an even better place. You know, it's very easy to forget, if you seldom venture from your glass tower on the river, how far your responsibilities actually reach. I'm just as interested in the suburbs, where my mother lives, as I am in the inner city, where I live. I'm just as concerned about the lack of coordination, for example, between trains and buses and other forms of public transport. And I'm just as concerned about the unjust fare zones in outer boroughs, as I am about making the congestion charge actually do what it says on the tin and deal with congestion in central London. As a Liberal Democrat, you won't be surprised to hear that I believe in local democracy. One of the best examples we have of local democracy is the London Assembly. The combination of identifiable constituency representatives and proportional representation makes the Assembly more truly representative than most other political bodies. The Assembly's views are important, and anyone who dismisses those views out of hand devalues London democracy and is clearly not interested in what London's truly democratically elected representatives think. Without an effective Assembly, there is no check on the mayor between elections, as we have seen to our cost. I was campaigning recently in Brent, and the most common thing I heard on the doorstep was, "We've had enough of Ken Livingstone." Even some of his supporters think that 8 years is far too long, let alone 12, were he to be re-elected. And of course, the part-time Member of Parliament for Henley-on-Thames, part-time quiz show host, part-time right-wing columnist, is never going to understand the needs of Londoners, even if he was prepared to stop acting the fool, which he shows no signs of doing. I am the only serious alternative to Ken Livingstone, and I have the background, the skills and the experience to do the job and to do it well. Some might say, well, he's not really a politician. And I say, well, thank goodness for that. I have a hard-earned reputation for being open and honest, for telling the truth even if it's not what people want to hear. And I'm not going to throw that reputation away now. And I'm not going to ask you to take my word for it, that I'm going to be a very different mayor. I'm asking you to judge me on my record of delivering public services to Londoners, listening to Londoners, and acting on what they say. I'm not going to be like any other politician you've ever seen before. And that's why I'm going to win. Thanks very much.